Good morning, people. It's Dragon here with Dragon Speaks for You. Add a Gmail to that.com. That's my Gmail. Also, a hashtag to Dragon Speaks for You for Instagram and YouTube is at Dragon Speaks for You. That's all with the number 4 and the letter U. I want to talk about something today, this morning. I didn't want to do it, but Spirit insisted. It's one of those things. Whether you believe it or not, trust me, when the Spirit wants it, it's going to get it. So it won't leave you alone. About disregarding your power. How's that for a title, I think? Disregarding your power. Now, many of you, us, uh, disregard their power and don't even realize it, you know. And sometimes a lot of people don't even realize they have any power. They're just a simple human being going through life. Well, you're more than that. Some of you realize, some of you have powers that you realize, but you're using them wrong. You don't know quite how to use them, and you have to understand these powers that you uh, acquire through life and develop, and were given to you probably from birth, before birth. They came to you through your conception, actually. Um, come from a higher source, a bigger source, a higher power, the Almighty, the All, the Creator, uh, however you want to look at it. Uh, if you believe you're a monkey, then I guess some monkey gave you the power, whatever you think. But you've got certain powers and you're not sure where they come from. You don't even question them. But a lot of you disregard them and you don't utilize them. And that comes by reasons of various reasons, and I understand that, some you don't believe them, and some you afraid of them, you know, and some you're afraid of losing. You're afraid of failure. You're afraid of success, which is a strange thing to understand, but it's a reality. And you know, uh, just real quick, my mother was super powerful. She was scary. She was so powerful. My grandma was even more so, but I was too young to really understand all of it, but in retrospect. But my mother never used it. She was afraid to use those powers, of clairvoyance or intuition or discernment, stuff like that. She was scared of it. She used to tell me about it, but she was scared of it. And there was a one thing she always told me, which was um, uh, kind of I didn't understand it. I was too young, and it told me all through my life. You said, son. She'd tell me in Spanish, of course, but you know, son, your heart's going to give you problems all your life. And I couldn't understand that. At that time, I thought, my God, I'm sick. I must be sick. And she knows something that I don't know, and I'm sick. Because your heart's going to give you problems all your life. Well, I grew older and I understood, started understanding, because I guess it goes along with the no good turn, you know. Uh, I mean, every good turn is not actually a blessing. Um, there's always repercussions. You know what I mean? So uh, no good turn goes unpunished. You know what I mean? And I mean that's very true in many cases. Um, I mean I've had it all my life, and it was so hard to understand. Uh, how to fly. You know what I mean? Without all that. That's funny. I get into that, and that plane is flying overhead. But it's hard to understand. How come I just can't fly? Without running into all these obstacles, all turbulence. You know what I'm saying? And I've had so much in my life, and some of you folks, you don't have it. And that's awesome that you don't. But in retrospect, I'm glad of it because it couldn't have gave me what it gave me, and it was all to enhance me for today. And I see that, and I feel that, and it made me strong, and it made me resourceful. Because everything I ran into, I figured out a way. I didn't have no help. You didn't have therapists and psychologists and all these people that it just intervened and stuff in those days. Me growing up, you didn't have that, especially, maybe there was, but I didn't know anything about it. You just never had it. None of my friends or my family or anything, it wasn't thought about. So I had to figure out a way to maneuver through all of this. And it made me very resourceful to where I use my mind in such a way that, and the powers that I had, it made them come out. Okay, is my point to all of this. It made my powers come forth. You understand? Because I forced myself to utilize my thought, and my thought made these powers come out wherever they were. It just came out, and I started using them. My intuition, my discernment, my analytical aspects. So, and for the longest time, to this day now, somebody asked me, well, how'd you do that? And I say, well, I just look at it and figure it out. If I've never done it before, even, I just looked at it and figured it out because it comes quick. Okay. I don't know, many of you probably do the same thing. Um, but I never worry about failing. I don't worry about failing. I don't worry about failure. I don't believe there is such a thing, because I never experienced failure. You know, the only failure is when if you quit. I believe, if you quit, then you failed. But unless you got a logical reason, no, it's not going nowhere, and you just quit. Okay, but there's no failure because you learn. You understand? There's something you learn from every adventure. So, uh, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But then maybe you end up paying. Maybe it cost you. It ended up costing you. Trust me, it's cost me a lot of things. Have cost me a lot, but I always look forward. That, and that keeps me thinking right here at the time it's happening on how to figure it out. You understand? Does that make sense? So it keeps my spirit up. You understand? And not that I don't get aggravated sometimes. I mean, I'm human, just, for the most part. And I mean, I see it in people, and it's so hard to help people, and I've tried most of my life. I've always been that way, try to help people. Even in my dark walk, I walked a dark walk, but even in my dark walk, there was people I helped. My heart never left me. I mean, it never turned black. You know what I'm saying? So it finally came to this point where I released all that, you know, and it's everything has enhanced in me. But what I'm trying to get to people is don't be afraid of the losses, the possible losses, or this thing called failure. You know, you don't fail. You know, when you walk into, uh, you know, you have a light. You know what I mean, within you. You know, and that guides you. So if you believe in this light within you, this knowledge, and that's knowledge is light. Light is knowledge. You know, and you have this knowledge, and it turns to wisdom when you utilize it. You utilize it, it turns to wisdom. You understand? And if you don't utilize it, or you use it wrong, if you use it wrong, then your powers, you know, it's not, that don't mean you can't play with them at times, you know, but if you go dark, I'm talking about, if you go dark with it and you start using them for darkness, you know, uh, it's, you know, that's, uh, it works against you, right? So, um, it's kind of like, you know, going into a dark tunnel with a flashlight, but you're holding the flashlight towards the back, and you're walking this way, and the flashlight's pointing behind you. You know, it. You don't know. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of, you don't really realize, because you're navigating. You know, you're navigating through this, and your light is actually not shining where it should be, because you're not utilizing your light. It'd be a lot easier for you. So these powers are in that way, you know. So once you shine that light the direction you're going, then well, everything lightens up, and it makes things a lot easier, and you get to figure out, get to navigate, you know, through these things, and these things of life. I'm saying, you know, it's um, so these powers that you have, I'm trying to explain on how to, that you have them first of all, and then kind of how to use them, you know, and utilize them, you know, in your life, because a lot of you are going through things right now, and you're suffering. You're hurting, you know, things are hurting you. And it could be relationships. It could be, you know, most of them are relationships. It could be jobs, you know, relationships in jobs, or uh, things you want to accomplish, you know, and maybe, and you're having troubles trying to get them accomplished. Um, and I'm not talking about in the dark walk. You know, if you're doing things in the dark, in darkness, man, you know, then it serves you right. You know what I mean? And you're not gonna. It's not, your powers aren't going to do you any good. Actually, they're going to be stripped away and taken away from you. But um, you know, I'm not going to go preaching. I just want to tell you a story. You know, Jesus and a couple of his apostles were walking one day, you know, and uh, they come across this fig tree, you know, and it's a parable in the Bible that I'm paraphrasing, okay, and they come across this fig tree. Well, Jesus went to that fig tree to pick some figs, you know, and he wanted some figs, but he went to the fig tree, and they followed him, of course, and when he got to the fig tree, it had no figs on it. Well, they all noticed that. And he said, you know, and then, so he cursed the tree. He cursed the tree. Now, people might think, well, that was Jesus. So see, he was dark. He was dark. He was, you know, evil. No, I want to explain to you. Okay. Why? All right. And this pertains to you. You understand? To make this story fit. Okay. It's a parable. That's what they're about. And it pertains to you, it pertains to me, it pertains to everyone. You know, if people wake up and see, you read between the lines, like I've said. And so he cursed the tree, and they noticed that. His apostles noticed that. His buddies noticed that, and, you know. So they went on, and they went to their destination. And on their way back, they walked by that tree again. And his buddies noticed, and, you know, the apostles, they noticed, and they said, well, Lord, that, you know, that tree's dead. You know, it withered away. Well, and they, you know, they asked him, why'd you do that? You know, and he told them, a tree that bears no fruit is twice dead, and it's good for nothing but to be burnt as kindling, pulled up and burnt. And they couldn't understand that. So, do you guys get that? Do you understand why he would say that? Well, I'll explain it to those that don't understand. So, and this aggravated him, you know, in a way, because that was a tree that was supposed to bear fruit, and for whatever reason, it wasn't bearing fruit. It wasn't doing its job. So he cursed the tree as a, not in a dark sense. Now you got to understand. Okay, he cursed the tree in the sense of it's um, it's worthless thing. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. It's supposed to be bearing fruit. Okay, it's supposed to be that's its job in nature. Excuse me. So uh, when he said, when they asked him why, you know, why you say that is twice dead, you know, they asked him why twice dead. What do you mean by that? Well, he said, it's, for one, it's dead because it doesn't bear fruit like it's supposed to. Two, it's withered for because of not bearing fruit, because of not doing its job, because of not performing as it's supposed to. Okay, so it's the same reason, but it makes it no good because it's dead twice. Okay, once when it withers, once when it's not bearing its fruit, what good is it? And two, when it's withered. Okay, and it's just good for, you know, to be burnt. That's all it's good for. And it pertains to man, you know, it pertains to us because we're given these gifts from birth, from our conception, even before. We're given this when life was given to us. Okay, we're given these gifts that are meant to be developed through life. Okay, and if we don't use them, if we don't utilize them, then we are like that tree, you know, because what good is it? We're just going to go through life just, you know, drinking and smoking and getting high and having parties and having sex and, you know, multiplying, and, you know, look at how many kids are put out there with no fathers, and, you know what I mean? Women are used and men are used and kids are being used, and, you know, it's just, you know, animals are being tortured. It's just all kinds of ignorance out there because none of it is of the light. Do you understand? None of it is of the light. So the people doing these things are of no use in in the realm of light. Do you understand? So, I mean, they may be to the darkness, I guess, you know, but that's where they're going to live. And then again, here's karma. You know, they become karmic, and uh, you can't you can't run from that. You know. So I tell you that story because you know, maybe it'll resonate with people about using their powers. And I told you one the other day about the 10 talents. You know, if you don't use them, the other, you know, that one guy didn't use the talents, the other two did. And so when the Lord come back, you know, the master come back, he took it away from him. Whatever he gave him, he took it away from him. No matter how proud he was, you know, about saving it, he didn't do anything with it. He held it to himself, you know, for whatever reason. He didn't do anything with it. So the reasoning behind it didn't matter. It wasn't given to him for that. It was given to him to utilize, okay, to use and do something with it, you know. And the other two did, you know, multiplied and used things for people, okay. That's what I'm doing here now. I'm getting to this point of disregarding your powers. I utilized these powers since I was young. Okay, I realized them at an early age, and I'm just going to be straight with you guys. Um, I I didn't use them the way I should have. There was times I did, but not consistent. You understand? It wasn't consistent. I didn't develop in the light. I didn't develop in the darkness, but I didn't develop in the light. You understand? Uh, I, I didn't use them in the respect that they should have been used. So once I realized them and their powers, I mean, you know, as I got older, you know, I was walking a dark walk. I still had these powers, so I'd use them, and I called them card tricks, okay, because um, I called them card tricks because they were so easy, you know, and people couldn't relate. So, and I'd entertain, you know, people, and I entertained myself using it, blowing people's minds and stuff like that, you know, with different things, you know. And you can make things happen, you know, right in front of people's eyes. You know, there's a lot of people that can testify to it. I did that. I was doing some things. Well, I call them card tricks because they weren't really dark. I wasn't using them to hurt anybody, but I wasn't using them for progressing in the light. You understand? I used them selfishly for my own needs, for my own wants, whatever. And but then the part of it, I used them to enlighten people to look, this stuff's real, you know, but I didn't use it properly. So they took it, I think a lot of them took it as just me trying to enhance myself, which wasn't the case, but maybe it was. I don't know. I'm just putting it out truthfully to you. Uh, but I've come to the conclusion, it's been a while, but come to the conclusion on what I needed to do with it. And I couldn't figure out what. So it's been probably the last 30 years of my life. And uh, I gotta say, you know, my wife had a lot to do with this because the choice I made with her is I I shut down that darkness. Okay. So either I didn't want to bring her into it. I felt so much for her. I didn't want to bring her into it as I always did before. I didn't care about any others, but really it was more me, you know. And with her, it was different. I didn't want her to be part of that or bring her into it. I wanted to show her and teach her of it, but not to be involved. You understand what I'm saying? I was trying to come out of it, okay. And I didn't want her hurt or being victimized to it in any way. But I did want her to see and show her. But because of the choice I made, because there was a choice I had to make, either I continue on, which I could have went on to a pretty good status if I wanted, but it was either that or her, and the life I knew I was going to have to do without all this. Okay, so I kind of put everything on a halt. Okay, because I made that decision and I chose her, and that was a very spiritual thing because I was meant to do that, and it was not just for me; it was for her. So um, I started utilizing the powers differently. You understand? And I started realizing more, and the more I thought about how to use them, the more they developed into the way I should use them. Okay, so here I am today, and I'm using them. So I'm skipping a lot, but here I am today as I guess a teacher in some way. To try to teach people about what they have, and but it's kind of hidden sometimes. In a lot of people, it's kind of hidden because we don't, like I said, we don't maybe believe that we have any, or nobody's brought it to light. Brought it to light so where they can bring it to fruition. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And all I'm trying to do is help folks. All I'm trying to do is help people. That's what all this is about. These videos and all that. That's all it's about. And I'm trying to help through the experiences I've had, and I've had so many that I've got this library that's mind blowing. Of so many things I did in my life. People that think they know me from my hometown, or whatever. It's they only know a part of me. They don't really. They don't know. There's a big piece of me they don't know, and I don't really. I don't really go exposing that to people. I don't go talking about it and all that. It's some people know, but they only know certain things. Uh, my wife, I told her a lot of things, and I wanted to because I wanted her to see, who I was and have that trust in me that I would divulge these things to her. You got to get them off your chest somewhere. So anyway, uh, but for this, people, when you do this, you got to understand you're going to be attacked. You're going to be attacked because you're working in the light now. Okay, and you're working in the light, and there's people that are in the darkness and working in the darkness, and there's going to be jealousies. These jealousies are incredible, man. That's so weird to me. It's so weird to me. You know, uh, I don't know. And these are people that you thought cared about you. You know what I mean? Uh, and you care about, and you just, it's hard to understand. And, you got to get around the pain because it hurts. You know what I mean? When you see them attack and you see them attacking you and, talking against you and, but those stabs in the back, once you develop a scar, those stabs don't hurt so much. You know what I mean? So they mean to hurt you in whatever manner, but they don't hurt. You just to you it's nothing. So uh, and also you're protected. You've gained this protection, this spiritual protection, because you're working in the light. So you can develop so high that nothing they do. They'll attack you with all kinds of things, and when they can't get you by word of mouth, then they start getting you with this. They'll start hiring practitioners and dark magic and all these other, fools to try to get you, but they're the same thing. It doesn't affect you, and they can't phase you. So you got to lose that fear of that, and you got to lose that fear of what people are going to think. Uh, at my um, in my experience, I'm talking losing the whole family. I'm talking about losing the whole structure. I'm talking about losing the whole community. I'm talking about losing, I don't care. I don't care, because at the end of the day, they're going to pay for what they're doing to an innocent person because, they're attacking you and you're innocent. All you're trying to do is help people. Do you understand? So I'm just giving you this because I want you to expect that if you go to do it, you know, people that and then the jealousies are so crazy to me because I mean you get people that they try to be you, they want to be you. They want to, what are they going to do? Go, study you and get your face down and go make a mask so they can, grow their hair the way your hair is or start dressing the way you do and, watch how you walk and try to walk the way you do. You're not going to match it, man. That's a supreme thing, man. There's a little arrogance talking right there now. I got to tell you straight up. There ain't no way you're going to touch it, man. You can't be me. I'm one of a kind, baby. You know what I mean? Dragon's dragon. That's it. There's many others that have tried, and there's some arrogance for you, but you know what? I can back that. I can back it. Okay. Let them try it. It's fine with me. It's funny to me. It's a joke. I'd like to see a video, to tell you the truth. I'd like to see a video of the fools trying to be me, and trying to convince my people, Well, I could do that. I could be just what he's doing, Well, okay, give it a shot, man. Make a video for me. Send it to me. I want to see it, you know. Uh, put it out like I am. You know, you're so brave. You're so brave. You're talking that to somebody, talking about how, oh man, I can do that. That ain't nothing. He ain't nothing. I can do it. Okay, you're so brave. Make yourself a video of it. Okay, put it out like this. Do what I'm doing. You want to be me? Do what I'm doing. Do what I'm doing. Okay. If you want to try to emulate me, I don't care. It's a compliment, actually, but it's funny, because you're not going to match it because it's not. This is not what makes it. Okay, it's inside, baby. It's inside. You can't have that. You don't have it. You'll never have it. That's mine. You gotta look inside you, see if you got any, whatever yours is. But mine, you'll never have it. So you can't match it. And that's relationship with anybody that I have relationship with. They can't lose me. They can't lose me. Do you understand? The same with you folks. It can get so intense that whatever relationship you have, even if it walks away or whatever, they can't lose you because it's so intense. You know, it's like your signature on their soul. You know what I mean? It's deep. It's not a funny thing. It's just that what's funny is when they try to get rid of it. They try to get rid of you. You know, it, it's it's not your fault. It's not your fault. That's the potency of the light. Do you understand? It's the potency of the light. But instead of going with it, they go against it. So that makes it even worse. Okay. So this is what I'm saying about these powers, people. You have these powers, develop them. But the warning is there's people that they're gonna hate you. They're gonna hate on you. They're gonna pull away from you. Some are just gonna pull away nice and softly. Some are gonna pull away and attack, and they're gonna attack you in some vicious, ugly, dirty, filthy ways. vicious, ugly, filthy. But yet they're going to go to church Sunday. They'll be in church Sunday. And then they'll brag. They'll brag about how they went to church, you know. The Lord, the Lord, the Lord. They'll be bragging about it all week while they're pulling all this stuff that nobody knows about. It's pretty hypocritical. But that's neither here or there with what I'm saying. You know, it's these powers are just that I'm talking about. Don't disregard your powers, people. Your powers are what you truly are. You know, they're part of what you truly are, and they can help you through life. They can help you through navigate through the things you're going through, and to where you can you have a loved one over here or a neighbor that you care about. You see him going through, you know, some terrible things. You know what I mean? And you can go and just a few words. You never know. You know, I had a guy. I was in walking through Walmart one day, and I had a guy come and come running up to me. He goes, "Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long." You know, and I'm looking at him. You know, he called me by name and everything, and you know, I'm looking at him. I didn't want to say, well, I don't know who you are, dude, because I recognized him, but I couldn't remember his name. It'd been so long. He goes, "You remember me, don't you?" And I said, "Well," I said, yeah, I remember you. I didn't want to say I kinda, but I said, "Yeah," because I did. I recognized his face. So he goes, I listened to you speak one time, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. And he went into a sadness, like he was fixing to cry, you know. And he goes, "It changed my whole life. I listened to you one time 10 years ago, and it changed my whole life. I haven't drank, I haven't done anything, drugs, anything, for 10 years. And I've got a wife now, I've got a good job, I've got a car, I've got a house." He had nothing back then. He went on to tell me. So I started remembering, because I deal with so many people. I've dealt with so many people. It's hard for me to remember everybody, but I kind of remembered, you know. And I mean, that felt so good, you know what I mean, to hear that. And but I told him, I said, "You give the glory where it belongs. Don't give it to me, man. I'll take the thank you, but that's it, you know." And you've got to be sure to do that. But it feels so good to be able to be that, because it reinforces you. It reinforces you. I can have 100 hating on me and talking crap about me and pointing at me and spitting and everything else. Have 100 of them, you know. I'll take 100 of those, 150, 200, 3, 4, 500 of them. And that one man, that one person outdoes them all. Outdoes them all in every aspect. They're nothing. They are nothing. That's how it makes you feel. So, is there a failure? Did I fail in those 100 people over there? That one come up and actually told me, "No." Am I a failure because I got 100 over there that I put out for and they've turned their back on me? That one person tells me no, because he's worth 1,000. You're not a failure. That's what that told me. And it's just not that I was thinking that. I'm just saying, you know, there's people, you might get to that point where you think, well, man, I'm no good at what I do, you know, or what I tried, you know, I tried for so many years and blah, blah, blah. No, I don't ever think that. I don't ever think that. I just know they failed to take it, you know. They're ignorant, and that's all there is to it. And you're ignorant all the way to the point of stupidity. I mean, you can either remain there. Ignorance is just lack of knowledge. It's not a bad thing. Everybody's ignorant at some point, there's things right now I'm ignorant of. There's things that everybody's ignorant, about certain things. But once you learn it, you're not ignorant no more. But if you continue on and you go speak, and it's like the term I heard many years ago. Don't talk about anything you don't know about, because you make a fool of yourself. You know, it's like, I'm a automotive and diesel machinist. You come up and start talking to me, and you've never touched a car in your life. You come up and try to talk to me about the internals of a motor or an engine, or the specifics. I can tell right away you're a joke. I might sit there and nod, yeah, 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 because I'm trying to be respectful and courteous to you, but inside I'm laughing because you're making a fool of yourself. You understand? And there's people out there doing that are attacking. You understand? They're attacking, and they're attacking out of their own jealousies or ignorance and stupidity. It's gone to the point of stupidity, So, the Lord himself calls them stupid. He calls them fools, A fool will show himself to be a fool, as soon as he opens his mouth. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not doing it for the good. He's doing it to attack. He's doing it to hurt somebody. You know what I mean? If you got to open your mouth to hurt somebody, you tell me. You know what I mean? You know, all the cussing and things like that, and name calling. None of that affects me. I could care less. I could care less. They're turning on me after putting out for them. That's what hurts me, and that's what hurts you. And I know you've been hurt. A lot of you've been hurt like that, and you're going through some of it right now. But what I'm trying to express to you, good people, is that you're a good person. You're a good person. Don't ever say that about yourself, though. Okay? Don't do that. There's too many people that do that. I'm a good person. Don't ever say that. Okay? It's not for you to say that. It's for somebody else to say that. So I'm saying it to you right now. You're a good person. Okay? You're a good person, and you know it. You don't have to say it to yourself. There's people that know you're a good person. Okay? And you're being attacked and you're being hurt. And there's days you walk with tears. And there's days you walk with pain in your heart. Utilize these powers you have. Consider yourself a powerful being of light. Okay? Consider yourself a powerful being of light. Because yes, you've made some mistakes. Yes, you probably did some bad things. Man, yes, whatever. Okay? You're not walking in perfection, but you're under construction, and you're walking in that way. You're on that path. You're not sitting over there across the fence barking like a yapping dog. Okay? You're just an annoyance. It's an annoyance. It's all they are to me. They're yapping dogs. It's like dogs across the fence just yap, 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 yap. You want to go over there and just kick them in the head, shut them up. You know what I mean? But you don't. A funny story real quick that reminds me. I had a neighbor. He took off. He had a dog. Left his window rolled down just off the porch in his truck, the driver's window. The dog had a chain just long enough to where he can get in that truck. That's not where he stayed, but the chain was long enough, and he was chained to that porch. So I'm outside working. Actually, my wife and I were outside. He was over there yapping. Yap, 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 yap. Man, I told him, God, that dog, man, that dog is driving me nuts. And he wouldn't shut up. He's barking at nothing. There was nothing going on. He's just yapping and yapping and yapping. So I tossed a rock over there and bounced it off the gate. I mean, off the fence, just to startle him. And it shut him up for a minute. Next thing you know, he's over there. He got up on the porch. It kind of scared him. He got up on the porch and he's yapping and yapping and yapping. Here he goes again, yapping and yapping. So I went up to him. I went over there close to the fence. And I just looked at him. I told him, you better shut up. And I went like this. And he shut up, which was funny to us. We started laughing. So anyway, I walked off. A few minutes later, he starts yapping and yapping and yapping and yapping again. And that was it. I went off. I said, that's it. And I started walking. I was going to go jump that fence. Okay. And you should have seen that dog. This was funny. I wish I would have had a video on it. I wish I had a video on it. I could have made what did they sell on funniest videos? 10 grand for the funniest video. I guarantee you this, I would have made 10 grand just like that. I started walking over there and he seen it. I was kind of pissed off. Gotta say, because I tried being cool with him. That's it. I started walking over there. That dog freaked out. He didn't know what to do. He took off from the porch, went and jumped in that truck and got up on the steering wheel and was honking that horn. Started honking that horn. Beep, beep, beep. It's like, and he's looking at me like, it was hilarious. We lost it. Laughed. I laughed. My buddy just stopped me in my tracks because it was so hilarious. It was funny. But I can tell you that story is, because it was, that reminded me what I was saying, those yapping dogs. There's yapping dogs, these people that are attacking you folks, okay? They're yapping dogs. Just look at them that way, They're just an annoyance, on the other side of the fence over there. Yapping, yapping, yapping. They got nothing better to do. Their life is miserable, apparently, because all they got to do is put out hate to an innocent person, You didn't do anything to them. You haven't done anything to them in a negative way. That's coming, though. That's coming, Comes in the form of karma, and you never know what else, They go and push it and push it and push it. There's legal action that can come at them too, But they can go yap in jail, you know what I mean? It just depends on how far they take it. But just keep your eyes open and be careful, But don't let it distract you from using your powers. You know what I mean? Don't let it distract you from staying on path. Okay? So I hope that helps you a little bit to understand about these powers. And, you have fruit to bear. You know what I mean? You have fruit to bear. Find your niche. You know what I mean? Find your niche. Figure out what fruit am I supposed to bear. Some of you ladies, I swear, my daughter-in-law, we got a little baby, and she got a little baby, and she's just the most beautiful thing. And I take her to the daycare, right? She had a real nice, fancy daycare. I go in with her. I have to carry her bags and stuff, give her a ride once in a while, but because my son's working, so I go in there. I see all these little varmints. I call them little varmints, and through the windows, and they come up. They see me, and I guess I'm something they don't see anybody like me, I guess, because they all just stop. They're running around like crazy in there, little ones, the toddlers, and running around like crazy. And they come up to this big old window, and I'm looking at them, and I'm making faces at them, and they come running up and just gather this little crowd of little people. It's so cute, and they just look at me, and God, they just in their eyes, they're like, uh, just in awe. I wish I could see what they're looking at, because I don't know what they see. They see something else. I think it's an aura or something, but though I can see in their eyes, it's more than just a person they're looking at. You know what I mean? It's it's so awesome. But um, that's where your powers are. You know what I mean? But my point to this is, I look at the ladies in there, and and some of them then you got another one that's it where the babies are my little granddaughter goes, and they're babies, and I mean they're all yapping and crying and this and that and changing diapers and all that. I'm looking at it, and uh, I went through that with my kids, many years ago. But as a group like that, that takes a very, very special person. And they're smiling and they're loving it. These ladies, they're loving, they're enjoying it. They're just laughing and, with these kids. There ain't no way I could do that. There's no way I could do that. I mean, I could do it for a minute, but that's about it. That's a very special person. This is what my point is. That's a, that's a special power, That's a very special power. And that's a gift, So when some of you ladies, when you think, God, oh man, I just brought something else to me. When you think you're not doing something worthwhile, and it's not just a job. That's not just a job. That's a very a special job, man. It's a very special power that you have able to do that in total joy. You're not in there going, oh God, I got to change this kid again, and you're chasing them around and all that. To me, that's a very special power. I think to most men that know, I think they would say the same thing. That's a very special power for a lady, to them ladies, and it impresses me, I see it and I tell them too, but, some people don't realize, it's like, uh, I I gotta give you something because I brought it to mind, my wife, we married many years, and there's a part of her that she didn't feel at times, she didn't feel worthy of whatever, because, or didn't, of not bringing something to the table or something like that. I don't know. It's just, you wouldn't get too much into it, but she'd say, you don't, and I could tell because of the comments she'd make, you think I don't work. And I didn't care if she worked or not. She could go work or not. To me, it didn't matter. I took care of things anyway. So if she wanted to work, she could work. If she didn't have to. She got her car and everything else. I gave her money. Here's your credit card. Go do whatever, But uh, periodically she'd come to me and say, "Well, you think you don't work?" And I think that was guilt coming out because it wasn't me. I never said anything, You think I don't work, and I work hard all day. I do this house and I do this and I do that, And I said, yeah, of course I think you work. I see you work hard all the time. I watch you, you work hard taking care of me in the house and everything. But it struck me, and I understood what was coming from, because it come up with no reason. It's not like I said, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. I never did that. I was proud of her because of what she did, And to me, I tried to express it to her one time about what it meant to me for the things she did to take care of me. And I said, you know what it is, honey? And I was in the bedroom at my underwear drawer at the time. I think I was going to take a shower or something. And I said, you know what it is, honey? You know how I can show you, how I know that you take care of me, how I can prove it to you. One of the things that's most important to me, and I use this loosely, okay? Most important to me. One of the things that you do that's most important to me, and it covered this in what I was saying is such a minute thing, but it's the biggest thing. Do you understand? And I pulled out a pair of my underwear and I said, see these? I said, this right here means the world to me. I never open that underwear drawer and see no underwear in it, no clean underwear. Always, all these years, I've never, ever not seen clean underwear in that drawer. That means the world to me. And I meant the whole job she does. Okay. And she knew that. But I had to do that because I really felt that, it just hit me right then. And I said, this right here, because I didn't want her feeling like she didn't do anything. I didn't want her, I knew she was feeling that periodically at times. And I never could understand that. But anyway, it's just a story I was going to tell you. But anyway, you might have the same thing you're dealing with at your home or, with your wife and stuff. Sometimes they feel that way. Women are a hard creature to understand, but, you might want to compliment them, compliment her every now and then about things because they don't tell you, that stuff stays inside and it sits there and cooks and cooks and cooks, and one day it goes off. So, but anyway, just something to maybe might help you, Spirit told me to put that out, so maybe it was important. Okay. I'm going to cut this short and then I'll get back with you. So remember, don't disregard your powers. Okay. Search them out. Search them out. Excuse me. And the smallest of things you do, this goes to men also, but a lot of you ladies, you deal with a lot of emotion. So, they get in the way. And so, look deep within yourself and look at what you do and realize it's a power, ladies. You guys are powerful. You, in many ways, you're more powerful than men. Men are pretty basic. You know what I mean? But women are, man, women are. But you've got to get a hold of it. It's no good if you don't get a hold of it. It's too sporadic. It's just out there waving in the wind. It's not doing anything with it. You understand? So, but you men also think about that. You got stuff. You got powers that you're not utilizing. It goes beyond just going and making a paycheck. You know what I mean? That's goes beyond that. So you have a good day, and I hope you're all blessed. And I hope this helped. I hope it helped somebody out there. I had to be put out for some reason. Uh, maybe it was for me. uh, maybe it was for you. Okay. I love you, and it's Dragon saying bye.